They were upside down. There were liens against the house. It was just like a nuclear wasteland, right?
Welcome back, guys, to the Iron Sharpens Iron REI podcast. Today, I am super excited to introduce JT Taylor. This guy is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to business development, leadership, scaling small and large businesses. He is our direct business coach and plays a key role in helping us with our lead generation through our marketing agency that we go through, Bold Deals. His background is incredibly impressive over the past 20 years. He's worked with over 2/3 of all the Fortune 500 companies, specializing in leadership development, management training, and team building. Thank you for being on, JT.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about your land flipping business. Where are you finding successes, and how does it all work?
Yeah, so the land flipping business, I'm actually I did it with my sons. So I've got 5 kids, and my 2 oldest sons, when they graduated high school, I wanted to teach them the skill of building a business from scratch. So no matter what happened in their career, wherever they went, whatever they did, they would always have that to fall back on. You know, that's a good skill, right? How do you start a business? How do you actually really do that? And so we chose wholesaling and focused on flipping land. And so we dove in. We worked the Dallas-Fort Worth area, basically a ring 2 or 3 of counties surrounding that area, and we sent blind offers through the mail along with a purchase contract, and is basically a 2-page marketing strategy. And we would do 1 county at a time, and then people would call us back. Someone would send a letter back with a lot of cuss words attached to it. How dare you offer me this amount for my land? If you're in this business for any amount of time, you always get those. They get offended when you send them an offer, but hey, that's okay. And then sometimes, believe it or not, without ever going to see the land, without ever talking to the person, they would sign the contract and just send it back. We would buy a piece of land just like that. And So anyway, we did that for several years while my sons were going to college. They did college online, and they learned the ins and outs. They learned the ropes of the business. And then since then, they both went on and got their Series 7 license, and one went to work for Merrill Lynch, the other went to work for Charles Schwab. And so they're kind of off on their careers now. And I moved out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I live in Tennessee now. So, but yeah, land flipping, man, I love it. That's where I cut my teeth in wholesaling.
Nice. Got you. Are you still pretty active in that business currently? Actively marketing?
I do a little of that. It's not like a major focus. My major focus is coaching for Bold Deals. That's really the majority of my time. And then I do deals on the side, here and there, now and then. I just love coaching so much. It's you get to be a certain age, and you live enough life, you get to choose what you do. That's one of the benefits of growing up. Is you get to call your own shots, right? And so I really love coaching. Young guys like you, I know you probably don't think you're that young, but to me you're young, and you're go-getters, you're hungry, you're ferocious, you're passionate, and I get so much fulfillment at impacting your lives and the lives of my other clients. And that's what I want to do with my days. And so that's what I do with them. And as deals come along, I farm for deals as well. So I'm active, but it's not my major focus. My major focus is coaching.
Nice.
Hey, JT, I wanted to bring this up for you. I wanted to bring this up to you. When we first got on board on the onboarding call with you, I think we all knew, like, hey, this is going to be an expensive marketing channel. Like, we got to prepare, get all the funds together, and see how we can create a runway. And the moment we got on to you and you announced yourself as, hey, I'm going to be your business coach, I already knew, like, oh, we're going to get the most out of our buck right now. Like, this guy is, given all the accolades that you received over the years through Fortune 500 companies and businesses, I knew that we were going to go into the right direction with you, man. So I wanted to put that out there first. And with the coaching business right now, I guess my question is, how do you see yourself and position yourself in the marketplace with doing this and having wholesaling as a side hustle? What's your next venture along with the coaching business and the wholesaling, and what's coming up in the horizon for you?
So when I grow up, I want to be a transaction engineer. I went to this. I went to this. I went to this like hotel 3 day conference. Like this is probably 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. And there was a guy there named Sylvester. I don't even remember his last name. And he had a huge whiteboard all the way across the front of the stage. Right? You've been to venues like that, and he's just this old dog real estate investor, and he starts out by drawing a house on the whiteboard, and then he just goes through the deal of how do you buy this house, and he gives this specifics of it, right? And it was a normal buy, right? And it just wiped out most of the people that wanted to buy the house because you have to come up with 20% down, and you have to qualify, and you have to have tax records, blah blah blah. But you can get the house, and then the play on it is over time it appreciates in value, and but the bulk of it is you're really paying the bank about triple what that house is worth. That's and so then he draws a house right next to it. He goes, now this house in 10 years these people need to move, and then he just started reiterating that same house all across the board and throwing in more and more problems on each step of that house. And at the end of describing what was going on in the house, you naturally thought, there's no way, no one would want that house. How could anyone even afford that house? I mean, he had scenarios where they were upside down, there were liens against the house. It was just like a nuclear wasteland, right? And then he would come up with, well, if you did this, and if you did this, and if you did this, then this is what would happen. And so that's really what I'm working on. I'm working on becoming a transaction engineer. So I can look at any house in any market, and I can go, here's the play. Do this, do this, do this, and that's how you do it. I'll give you an example. This is a really fun example. Yesterday, I talked to a client who brought me a house. They had a team of 3 guys, just like you guys, and they're like, "Oh, we're meeting with JT in a couple of hours. Let's ask him about this house." So this is a house in St. Louis, Missouri. It's 40,000 ARV. It's in decent shape, not bad shape, but it's in yeah, it's in built in the early 1900s. So an old house, and they could get it for $23,000. And so they're looking at that, and if you run the traditional cash formula, ARV times 70%, minus repair, minus wholesale fee, where's the meat? It's just, if it's there, it's barely there, right? They're looking at making 2,000, 3,000, something like that. So I saw that deal, and I was able to structure that deal for them where they're going to get $175,000 out of that same house in 6 months. That's what I want to be when I grow up, right? To be able to do that. Because most wholesalers look at that house and they go, maybe, the more aggressive ones, maybe the more green ones, I'm going to roll the dice. Maybe I get some, buyer to buy it from me. And it's just skinny all the way around, right? So anyway, that's my next stage. I'm actively working on it. All right. You guys want to know the secret sauce? How do you take your house? That's cool, man. Well, that's what I do, right? I coach them up on it. So the way we're doing that house is we're going to do a slow flip. It's essentially a rent to own. So we're bypassing the whole wholesaling process. We're not going to be the middleman. We're going to end up positioning ourselves as the bank. And so what you do is you go out, you put up a bunch of signs around, and they don't one of them lives in Florida, 2 of them live in Florida, one lives somewhere else, and so they're not even going to drive out and even see the house. They're going to do this completely virtually. So I told them, go into Craigslist, go into the gig section, hire somebody for $100. There's all kinds of people that would love $100, a day for going around, and send them to Home Depot or Lowe's. Get a bunch of those little white signs with the things, those real estate signs, and then just handwrite "buy cheap house" and misspell the word cheap, CHEEP. Do that on purpose. The handwriting doesn't have to be, even all that readable. In fact, the more cheesy it looks, almost the better. So buy cheap house, $5,000 cash down, $900 a month, no credit check, and then your phone number. And go put out 50 of those around. Make sure you hit the Walmarts, the 7-Elevens, the grocery stores, the schools, the areas around that where you're going to get tradesmen driving by and seeing those signs, because that's who's going to buy this house. It's going to be a painter, a roofer, somebody like that is in that part of the economy that has cash, but they don't want to go through a traditional buying, a loan, the loan qualification process, going through a bank, all that stuff. They don't want to do that for a number of reasons. But right now they're paying rent, right? And so they would rather own a house. And so what you do is you do that out. Your phone's going to ring off the hook. Then you basically let them see the house. They go in. The first one to bring you $5,000 gets the house. You don't even worry about screening the tenant, because if they default, you get the house back and you just do it all over again. That's actually good for you if they do that. So it doesn't even matter. And you also bypass all discriminatory laws. You don't pick and choose people for this reason and put yourself in legal jeopardy. You just first come, first serve. Whoever gives me the $5,000 first gets it. So they pay the $5,000. They start paying you $900 a month. And then you write a 30-year mortgage on that house. And instead of it being at $40,000, you sell it to them for $80,000. And so $80,000 over 30 years. And the interest rate on that at $900 a month is going to be somewhere in the 12% range. But your buyer doesn't care. All they care about is that monthly payment and that they're actually buying a house. And at the end of 30 years, they'll own the house. And all that time, you're not fixing the roof, you're not fixing the windows, you're not fixing the toilets, you're not driving over in the middle of the night when they lock themselves out. That's on them, right? You're just the bank. So completely passive income at that point, unless they decide to default. If they default, what happens? You foreclose, you get the house back, and you do it all over again, right? And if a worst case scenario for you is if they sell the house, early, and then pay you all off all at once, right? Or they can just stay in there over the 30 years, and you end up getting over $300,000 for that house. And so how you get the 175,000 is once a note has been seasoned for 6 months. Usually note buyers like it at a year, sometimes 2 years, but you can find note buyers where it's seasoned at 6 months, and they'll buy that note off you for a discount. So they're buying the future payments, paying you the lump sum up front. So maybe 60% of that, which is about the 150, 175 range, you can cash out in 6 months. So that's what we did with that deal, right?
Wow. So if I'm understanding correctly, what they're doing is they're taking it down. They're purchasing the property, not seller financing, rent to own or lease option, right?
Right.
And after 6 months, they're selling the note.
If they want to. Or they can just kick back and just have $900 coming into their business, for the next 30 years. That's also a nice option. You do a couple of those and, that's some nice security, awesome. Right?
How would you go about finding someone to sell the note to? Or is it just regular banks or mortgage companies?
So my I'll tell you how you do that. About 4 months ago, my mother-in-law passed away. Love her, miss her, out in California. And so drove out there, to kind of go through the estate and, kind of just clean everything up. Well, she has a property in Arizona. It's on an acre of land. It's a mobile, like a manufactured mobile home, kind of nice home. And they had sold that property on terms to a young couple that had moved in there, and they were paying $550 a month, and they still had 8 years left on the note. Well, in talking to all the siblings, no one wanted to get, 550 divided by 5, get that little bit of money, mailbox money each month. We just wanted to, figure out how to just get the money all at once. And so I, being in real estate, I know about this. I said, hey, let me do a little bit of research and see what I can do. And so after dinner, I just went upstairs, hopped on the computer, typed in, mortgage note buyer, Arizona, right? That's it. Just typed it into Google, and I just started going down the list. I think I sent 3 of them messages that night. And then the next morning, 2 of them called me back. I explained the parameters of the deal, and there was about $35,000 left on the note. And one of them gave me an offer for 26.5, and the other gave me an offer for 25. And so that's what we did. Well, actually, I brought that to them, and then they saw that, and they're like, "Hey, why don't we just go ahead and offer it to the people that are living there first to see if they want to, if they can come up with that." We'll take that from them. And that's what they actually ended up doing. They sold the note to the people that were buying it. They were able to get their parents, I think, to help, and they just paid it off, the 26.5 from the people living there, and boom, they got the chunk of money, and then they were done. But I had 2 note buyers lined up to take that from just an evening. I mean, that wasn't even much at all. And then 2 probably 20-minute, 30-minute conversations at the most. And so there's a lot of note buyers out there. What they want is they want a solid asset, which is a house. That's what the note is backed up by, right? And then they want credible payment history, no late payments. You're not having to run around. And there are even note buyers that will buy notes that are not performing. So even if if that's the case, you can still find note buyers. It's going to be a deeper discount, but it's not hard. That's a cash flow tax play for a lot of these note buyers. They've got the money, they need it churning. So
that's beautiful. I mean, if you guys don't know already, this is pretty much a free masterclass, and you guys are just a fly on the wall watching us go through it. What we go through with JT every week or every other week. So that's awesome. And just to kind of build off with what you're saying, right? Maybe you could speak a little bit about this, but in order to thrive as an investor, you would have to be some sorts of a transaction engineer. It can't be a one-trick pony. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you see like as far as the industry kind of changing and why it's important to be a transaction engineer?
Sure, absolutely. So most wholesalers, when they're new, they learn the cash offer method, right? That's everybody cuts their teeth there. You pretty much need to know that formula, which is ARV, which is after repair value. Once the property's all fixed up, move-in ready, like that number, you have to run comps to get that. You have to compare it to other properties that have been also fixed up to really be accurate on it. And then minus repairs, what's it going to take to get that property there? And then ARV times 70%. I'll come back to that in a second. Minus repairs, minus wholesale fee, right? That's the cash offer formula right there. Let me go back to the 70%. That 70% needs to be adjusted up or down depending on your market. If you're in a market where the average home sale is higher than like a Phoenix, a Miami, a Southern California, a Washington, D.C., something like that, you're going to never buy a home because all your competition is offering more. Their multiplier is higher, 75, 80. In Phoenix, last I heard, it was 83%, right? So you have to adjust your multiplier to get the right number. And vice versa. If you're in a more rural market, you need to go lower than 70%. I actually have a formula that I send to my clients, on, hey, the first thing you do is you drop the address into Google and you type in population of that town. And then depending on the population size, you multiply it by this amount or that amount or the other amount. It's a sliding scale. So that's the cash offer formula, right? Now, if you're a wholesaler and all you do is give cash offers, let me just be honest, you're not going to make it unless you're something super special like an RJ Bates. That dude's amazing. He's fantastic. And from what I understand, he either only does or mostly does just cash offers, right? But he's got such a machine going, and the people that are in his system learn that machine. So I would call that the exception. That's not the rule. The rule is if you're out there as a wholesaler only making cash offers, you're really, really going to struggle. And so what you need to do is you need to be able to have more tools in your tool belt than just one. Because if all you have is a hammer, you're going to go around and every problem is a nail, right? And that's your only solution is hammer the nail. Well, that's only going to get you so far because not every problem is a nail. Some require a screwdriver, some require a saw, some require an electric saw, a soldering kit. I don't know, right? All kinds of different stuff. And so one of the things I do with our clients is as I evaluate that, and if they're coming in cash only, then I quickly send them to a master class where they learn how to do sub two, how to do owner financing, how to do a hybrid version of that, how to do novations, and even I talk about the 4 ways to make money on every lead, right? And one of the ways you make money on a lead is you just flip it to a realtor. If somebody's coming to you, hey, I want to sell my house. Well, tell me about your house. It's in perfect condition. All right, well, let's talk about your motivation. I can sell it anytime. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Like there's no meat on the bone there for you as a wholesaler. But how can you still make money on that lead? Well, you flip it to a realtor, right? And show you how to do that so you can get a referral fee or a marketing fee, or at least establish a good relationship with that realtor. So essentially the answer to your question is you need to have several tools, several acquisition strategies in your tool belt to be able to be an effective wholesaler in today's market. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, just doing cash offers, way more lucrative. But there are so many more wholesalers in the market today that there were. The competition is fierce. And if you aren't continually educating yourself and being coached up or really learning, then you're falling behind. And your business model is based on luck. That's really what it's based on, not a system.
Wow, there's a lot of gems in there to unpack.
I know, there's so many directions to take this.
Yeah, that was a lot of gems. But I want to bring up a deal, actually. I wasn't planning on doing this until the conversation kind of brought us here. So I just locked up something yesterday, 2 days ago, actually now.
Okay.
2 new constructions. We're trying to do a Morby method.
Okay.
New builds. 2 neighboring homes in San Antonio.
Are they empty lots or are the homes already pre-existing?
Already built. Beautiful homes.
Okay. And so they're move-in ready. They're all up to speed.
Yeah. All up to speed, ready to go. Appraised at $325 each. Okay. So we're at $650. We're trying to do a version of a Morby method, either to wholesale it as the Morby method or take it down. Are you familiar with the Morby method?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and explain it for your listeners, though?
For those who don't know, and sorry if I butcher this, the Morby method in a nutshell is where somebody wants too much money down towards a seller finance deal or potentially a sub 2. And a buyer like us, we'd come in with some form of loan, in this case, a DSCR, which can get us 75% loan to value. So we would get the seller wants $350 down, which is a lot of money.
Oh, wow.
So, but we're planning on pulling out a $430, rough $1,000 loan and getting that difference kicked back to us at the close of escrow.
That's 75%. Yeah, 75% of the 650 is going to be roughly around what was it, Joe? 450, 460.
I think.
And because the seller only wants 350, we would still give them let's call it 450, and he'll kick us back 100,000, and we'll just add that on to the second note with what we already owe the seller. But go ahead and continue, Joe.
Yeah. So once we get that money, we're planning on selling one of the properties after a year, renting them out, either long-term, midterm. Selling one of the properties after a year, refinancing or using the proceeds from that to pay down the DSCR, and then refinance the balance that's left on the DSCR loan. But in between those times, we're going to utilize that $130 to one, hold a portion of it, around 40,000 for holding costs and, different things that may happen. And the rest of it, potentially just, invest into fix and flips or some type of quicker money making investment. And if we can do 15% annual on that money and everything works out, we get the refinance. And at the end of the 3 years, sell the second home, we should end up at a minimum around 250 profit.
And then we forgot to mention, JT, that this is 3 years, 0 interest, 0 payments from the seller.
3-year balloon.
So yeah, it's a high down payment, but 3 years, 0 interest, 0 payments.
So it's an interesting
midterm
one.
rentals. Yeah, midterm rentals for both of them could be about 7,000 a month. Yeah, 35 each, so 7,000 a month. Which comes out to what, $250,000 after the next 3 years. But that's gross.
That's obviously with the sale of the properties. That's with paying down both notes, with the cash flow, and yeah, that's it.
I love it. You guys have it figured out. You nailed it, right? So you don't really need me for any kind of other thing. So let me take what you said and let me kind of blow it up a little bit into a bigger picture for your listeners. Like, what's going on? Like this, what happened? What did we just talk about? Oh my God. Right. And so here's what you want to do whenever you make an offer on a property, you go through a sequence of evaluating the property according to different scenarios, right? And what you're looking for is, what can we do to make this deal work? How do we structure a win-win-win? Who are the wins? The win is the seller. That's first and foremost. You always have to focus on what is the pain point of the seller, what is their problem, and no one wants to sell their house, right? People sell their house because they're trying to solve a problem. So you need to get to the problem behind the problem, right? The pain point. And if you get really good at that and you get good at being empathetic around that, you're gonna crush it. You really are, because in fact, I'll just tell you right now, not most wholesalers aren't good at that. They're too robotic. I want to figure out what the condition of the property is, and I'm going to go through my checklist, and these sellers have conversation after conversation after conversation. That's why when you get a seller on the phone and they're already upset and you haven't even talked to them, it's because of all those wholesalers that have gone before you that treated them just like a number. They're a cog in the wheel. It's just the next thing on their list to do. Don't do that. Be empathetic. Ask, hey, tell me what's going on. I don't say, tell me what's going on with the property. I say, tell me what's going on. Why are you thinking of selling? Right now, the owner is going to go wherever their pain is, especially if you really come across authentic. If their pain is in the numbers of it, then they're going to talk numbers. If their pain is because their mom got diagnosed with cancer and they need to sell the house and go live with their mom for a little bit and take care of her, that's what they're going to say. Well, this is what's going on, right? Their pain point is going to come out by asking open-ended questions. And now you can structure the deal to take care of their problem. Pace Morby calls it finding the bunnies, right? It's find the problem, find that hot. My dad used to call it, he was in sales. He said he was a moving and storage salesman. So he would go to people's houses, walk through with his clipboard and estimate how much it would cost to box everything up, put it on a truck and move it from point A to point B. And he taught me, he said, in everybody's house, they have a hot button, something that they really want taken care of. So when I find that hot button, I would stop and I would go into detail about how we give white plus service. Like maybe it's a classic guitar, this is what we do, or it's a piano, And so that's where he would make the sale time after time. You do the same thing with these sellers. You meet them at their point of pain and you talk to them about that, right? And so with that, you start with cash, then you go to creative. If it's like super mortgage, there's no equity, that's a sub 2. If there's tons of equity, then they have a lot more flexibility. That's an owner finance. If they have some equity and some still mortgage, that's a hybrid, right? And then there's the next level up is the novation, doing that, and then you can flip it to a realtor. And so when you're in where you guys are in this deal, this is an owner finance deal. So in an owner finance deal, what you have to do is there's about 7 or 8 factors that you need to get really clear on lining up to make sure the deal becomes palatable to an end investor. Right now, you guys solved the whole thing in-house with how you structured and did it. So you're not turning around and necessarily flipping this to another investor. So your deal is taken care of internally. But if you were to truly wholesale this deal, then your down payment, the way I think of it is I go through each one of these categories and I think about where does this fall on the scale of appeal to an end investor? Now, a down payment of, what was it?
350.
350.
That is, that's a
lot.
1, right? Let's call it 1 bad, 10 good. That's a 1. That's a deal killer for most deals. So in order for you to overcome a deal killer or almost deal killer, you've got to have some 10s in these other categories to make this thing balance out. If it was $350,000 down, 6% interest, payment is due on month 1, balloon in year 3, right? That deal goes nowhere because it's just too many deal killers in it. But what you got is you got 0% interest, which is a 10. Now you have a 1 and now you have a 10. And you have no payments for 3 years, which is a 10. So now you've got 2 10s and a 1, right? And you're looking at cash on cash, you're looking at, does it cash flow in the meantime? You're looking at all these different factors. That's why this deal works, is because yes, you have a big, huge down payment, which normally would kill that deal. But because you also have 0% interest and no payments for 3 years, your cash flow is a 10. You've got now 3 10s, $7,000 a month cash flow for 3 years. That's a 10. So the way you guys structure that deal makes this deal a slam dunk. And the way you handle the down payment with the DSCR, the refinancing, and then selling the one house and all that totally solves that problem. So you've got a good, solid plan there. So hopefully stepping back and giving more of a big picture point of view helps helps our viewers or our listeners understand why that deal is structured that way and what you're really going for in a deal like that.
Gotcha. That makes me feel better because I was kind of on the
Good
fence
deal.
about a good deal, right? Okay, cool.
Good deal. I mean, obviously, I'm just hearing the top lever, the top layer, and I haven't gone into all the details. But as long as your financial projections are solid and conservative, then that's a good deal.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Everyone, if you don't have a JT, you need to go get you a JT.
You guys need someone like JT in your corner,
man, because it's invaluable. The value and the gems and the advice that he gives us is, oh man, it's worth. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, how did you end up partnering with Bull Deals?
So I had my own business. I was fine. I was doing great. Team Building USA is my business. had it for 25 years. That's where I worked with all these Fortune 500 companies. And the model of my business would be I would go to corporate retreats, right? So I'd fly all over the country, typically at resort locations. I'd be a keynote speaker. I'd be doing workshops, doing team building. Dude, it was a good life, right? Really, really nice. I don't know if you've ever been on some swanky corporate retreats, but they're fun. They're really fun. And being a guest speaker at one of those is even another level above. It's just really cool. Well, COVID hit and everybody shuts down, um, doing offsites, right? No one went anywhere. And so my business just crashed overnight. It just went. And that put me in a reflective mood, like, okay, well, what do I want to do? What do I want to pivot to? And in the meantime, I had moved from the Dallas Fort Worth area to Tennessee, and the closest airport for me now is about 2.5 hours. Before I was 5 minutes away. So traveling wasn't really that big of a deal, but now it's a big deal. And so I thought, you know what? I want a job where I can be remote. I like that lifestyle. I live in a small town, like 10,000, in the middle of the country. It's just great. So I love the shift in venue and all that. And I thought, well, what can I do? I started building my own coaching company, which was Business Building USA. And that is basically helping people build businesses from scratch. It was a 30-day plan. You do this on day one, this on day two, this on day three, and just kind of walking them through. But I wasn't 100% settled that that's what I wanted to do. And I was on scrolling TikTok one night, and the owner of Bolt Deals, it's a digital marketing agency, was on there and had an ad for a high ticket, closer. And I'm a certified Zig Ziglar sales trainer. I've been through NEPQ with Jeremy Miner. Great, great stuff. I built sales teams, trained sales teams, the whole deal, right? So sales is, in my blood. It's easy. And so I called him, and actually I had to shoot a little video. I sent it over to him. It was like 9:40 at night. And then 10 o'clock, he calls me, 10 p.m. He's like, hey, GT, I got your video. So we start talking. He starts hearing all my background. He's like, GT, he says, instead of sales, why don't you come on board and be a business coach for our clients? And what the problem he was trying to solve for his digital marketing clients was not lead flow. Lead flow was there. People were getting leads coming in. But what he found is people would come on board, they would get all these leads, and then they would work the leads, but their businesses would implode, because it's not just about the leads. It's also you're building a business, and building a business from scratch is a huge task. And no one talks about that side of it. They all talk about the wholesaling side, the contracts and the negotiation and the formulas and, getting private money and, on and on and on, all the things to do a deal. But no one talks about the business building of it. And that's where most people fail. I see it all the time. And so I came on, we had 7 interviews before I decided I wanted to work for him. And, he had decided that he wanted me to work for him, but it fit what I wanted to do next. And so that's how I came on board. And so anyway, yeah, I came on board. I've been there about 1.5 years now, and I've just been rolling up my sleeves, diving in, helping our clients, not only with the real estate part of it, as we've already been talking about, but really more importantly with the business building part of it. So their businesses you can build a business too fast and it's not good for you. You can scale too fast. Most people don't experience that. Most people, it's too slow and they run out of cash and then they're fried, right? And so there's ways around that. There's all kinds of ways around that, but most people, they don't know what they don't know. So they don't know how to pace themselves. They don't know what's next. They don't know the right order. They're wasting time on dead end alleys that really aren't the right time for that yet. It's important, but not right now. They don't have perspective because they haven't coached hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of businesses in all kinds of sectors. So that's where I come in to help them out.
And I think we could attest to that. Going into this, we do understand that we are trying to build a business. And I think that was the biggest reason why we signed up to Bolt Leads, was because we would be getting the one-on-one coaching with you. I think at the beginning too, right, we said that we're pretty easy, that we're gonna look through everything that you stated and just kind of implement everything. So it's great that you mentioned that, because that is something big that we needed in our business, is what,
Mm-hmm.
and we come to you, right, every week, and
Yeah.
we have all these
We
questions.
have great discussions. I love working with you guys. You're very
We should just start
coachable.
recording and posting that. Like,
Yeah.
there's just so many gems that you give us, and I bet people would really see value in it. And, sorry, Darren, I think I cut you off.
I have a question. Go ahead, Darren. You can finish it off.
Oh no, that was it.
So,
Okay. JT, so you do a lot of coaching, and you're taking in clients, and you do one-on-ones, or you coach other businesses and how to build up their systems and SOPs and whatnot. With the general framework, a business, let's say like ours, how would you even structure something like that with three owners in the owner's box? How does that look like? And in wholesaling specifically, or even let's just say nationwide wholesaling, or just a real estate firm, how is something like that structured? A lot of our audience are business owners or wholesalers that are looking to build up towards being the guy that wants to work on the business opposed to working in the business. How do you go about that?
It's a really good question. This is one of those areas that most people don't pay enough attention to early on. And it's the thing that kills their business down the road. And it's so sad. It's so sad when I see it. So let me begin with what I never recommend, because that's actually the most valuable advice here. Never, ever, ever structure yourself as a partnership. Like 33% Joseph, 33% Darren, 33% Gerald. Don't do that. There's no boss. There's no true accountability. There's what inevitably happens, even if it's 50-50, right? There's just you and another guy. What inevitably happens is one guy starts feeling like, dude, I'm way out working you. You're not doing, you're not pulling your part. And the inequity comes. A lot of times I see the wives of those kind of feed into that. Hey, how come you're working late? Why don't you come, hang out with me and the kids? Oh, I got to work. Well, why can't so-and-so do it? Well, I don't know. He's out with the guys, and it's like that kind of thing just happens. It's life. But structuring it as a partnership almost inevitably forces it to just be torn apart. So always have don't do it that way. What I would do in terms of structuring is I would have you guys form 4 companies. One company between the 3 of you, all 3 of you are part of that. Then one company is Joseph's company, one company is Gerald's company, and one company is Darren's company. You work for your own company. You do your own thing for your own company. The center company, where all 3 of you owners, is a management company. And that management company hires your company to do a certain task for that central company. So maybe, Gerald handles all the finances. That's his task. They hire him, just like you would go hire a bookkeeping services, right? Or a private money lender, service, right? You write up the job, what's required, what the metrics are, what the KPIs are, and now you go and you hire Gerald's company for that. And then you go and you hire Darren's company for taking care of all acquisitions. So every lead that comes in, Darren is following up with that lead. He's working that lead. And so from first contact to contract, that's Darren's job. And then you hire Joe from contract to dispo, and he's going to take every signed, contract, and he's going to get it across the finish line. And so you hire out and you hold accountable each one of you, and then you get compensated by the central company for doing your job. And if you don't do your job, you don't get compensated. If all of a sudden Darren just blows it and he's just not bringing in any contracts, he's not getting any money, right? And if Joseph is crushing it and he's just, everything his way, he's putting across the finish line, well, then, maybe there's a bonus built into that. So that's how you do it. You keep everything separate. And that way, if the day comes where Gerald, goes off and he moves across country and he wants to start his own thing, super easy to go ahead and, move him on. He's already got his own company. He's got his area of specialty. And then you can even set that up front. If one of us leaves, or whatever's in the bank account at the time, you get a third of it. That's your compensation for leaving from that central company. That way the other two of us, we can just keep right on going. And you're not hurting each other. That's how I would recommend structuring it.
Wow, that's great advice, JT. We're gonna have to dissect that another time because we're running out of time. But we definitely need to talk.
Yeah, we need to
with us four.
We have our separate companies.
Let me toss one more thing into there into the mix.
Okay.
You guys need to have quarterly meetings where it's an offsite retreat. It's a business management retreat. During that retreat, you go over all your KPIs. You set the next quarter goals. You hold each other accountable. If you need to bring in an outside facilitator, if you have to have some hard conversations, you spring for that and you do that. You keep your communication, the honesty, the integrity flowing so that everybody, if they've got anything going on, 4 times a year, you've got a dedicated space to that and you all agree on that. Hey, we want this to work. And so this is part of our commitment. We're going to have the hard conversations if we need to, right? And during that, you can also do like a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and to just kind of help you track forward. So you do that. And then you also have at least, I would recommend weekly meetings, or even better is like 3 times a week, where you're just tracking how you're doing on this, how you're solving problems at the micro level on those. Everything rolls up into that. So anyway, that kind of finishes out that advice.
Love it.
Always great advice. Yeah, for those people who want to work with you, and guys, whoever's watching, you want to work with JT, no matter what business you're doing. JT's the guy to help you scale and get to where you want to be. Where can they find you, and how can they contact you if they want to?
So it's kind of a little bit of a challenge because I'm not really selling my coaching just for anybody that could just come and buy it. At this point, the only way to get me as your coach is if you want to solve another problem as well as that, and that is if you need leads, right? Because I work for a digital marketing agency. We run PPC and we run Facebook leads. And so our company, we basically, you hire us and we go to work on your behalf and we bring the leads into your business. And so as part of that, what you get for your monthly management fee is you get me as your coach. So you're paying for the leads, but bonus, you get to meet with me. Our typical rhythm is we meet every other week, and then if you need me more, if it's open on my calendar, we meet there. So if you're interested in that, go to Bolt Deals. You know what? Actually, let me do this. I'm gonna put an affiliate link for you guys in the show notes, or the podcast notes. And so, and just to be transparent, right? And this is for you if you're a listener. If you sign up with that link, then these guys will get $400 to their business from Bolt Deals. That's a referral fee, right? We have a referral program. And then if you sign up as a client and you recommend anybody, we'll give you $400, right? So it just helps offset some of that ad costs and everything. But look for that in the show notes and click on that, and that'll get you in touch with us, and we can set you up from there. Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough.
We understand how that works. I mean,
yeah.
Awesome.
Link will be in
we'll
the
drop the link
description,
right below.
Yeah, support us.
We'll drop the YouTube as well for Bolt Leads. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
but yeah,
guys.
JT, thank you not only for being on this podcast and sharing all that value, just for everything that you do for us and everyone else that's a client at Bolt Deals. Every interaction with you is special, and I always leave with value, and I always learn something new. So I appreciate you. I know Gerald and Darren appreciate you.
Mhm.
And yeah, well, that's it, guys. This is JT Taylor. The link will be below to have him as your coach. And yeah, signing out. This was the Iron Sharpens Iron REI podcast. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Good luck to your success. Bye bye.